I'd like to welcome everyone to the Wilson County Commission meeting of January the 23rd, 2023. Welcome all of our guests here tonight and invite you to come back any opportunity that you may have. Thank you all for also coming at the 6 to 7 o'clock meeting that we had about TVA and Middle Tennessee Electric. I think we had almost 20 of our commissioners here, and I know one city councilman that was here, so appreciate you taking the opportunity to be a part of that and being very informative. This time I will introduce Commissioner Fields for our prayer and pledge tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I would like to introduce Dr. Darrell Crouch. He is the founder and executive director of something called Everyone's Wilson. It's basically everything about Wilson, trying to unite all the churches and all the pastors for one central focus. That's to do good for Wilson County. And that's basically what we as a commission now do as well. So, Dr. Crouch, if you would lead us in the opening prayer, I'd appreciate it. If y'all would stand, please.
Be honored. Thank you, sir. Yeah, would you pray with me? Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we have the privilege to gather like this. Peaceably, we get together as friends, as neighbors, to do good work together. Lord, we thank you that you have established government, and in this case, government's not somewhere else. It's in the room. You've established and ordained these servants to sit in the seats that they're in. And God, we pray that you would give them wisdom. We pray that you would show them favor. We pray that the decisions made here tonight would bring great honor to you and good to every single neighbor around us. We pray this would be, Wilson County would continue to be fertile soil for the grace of God and the goodness of God to flow freely. Lord, we pray your protection on our community. Protection certainly physically, but we also pray for the wholeness, the peace of those who serve us in the school districts, those who serve us in foster care and addiction recovery, those who serve us in every pocket of vulnerability that we face. We pray for the emotional and spiritual vitality and vibrance of our community. Thank you again for these incredible people who have gathered here with us tonight. We ask that you would go before us and be honored. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Crouch. And before we start, for those of you who are new commissioners, you haven't heard this, but a couple of years ago, I had the privilege of doing this, and I wondered how many of us knew the history of the Pledge of Allegiance. And there were very few of us. And there's only like 3 of us over 70, Commissioner McFarland, Commissioner Gentry, and myself, so we were around when this happened. But the actual original pledge was written back in 1892 by a pastor. And it went something that didn't, there was no specificity to the pledge. So as the immigrants came to America, they would say the pledge, but people became concerned that they were not pledging to America, especially the Daughters of the American Revolution, the American Legion, and the National Congress. So they got together and recommended that we include the word "my country," United States of America, which was fine up until 1954. With the onslaught of communism, President Dwight Eisenhower added the phrase "under God." So there is no comma between "one nation under God." So tonight, as we recite it, we will do "one nation under God." No pause, or you're going to be left behind. Okay? I'm giving you fair warning. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How'd we do?
I thought you did well. Good job, Commissioner Fields. You could be a teacher for Dr. Luttrell back here in the back. At this time, before we start with our recording our presence at tonight's meeting, I would like to take just a second to ask Mr. Darrell Crouch to come back up, if you would, and thank everyone that was a part of Commissioners' Night. Many of you came. We had probably 7 or 8 that didn't get to come, and we had city councilmen, as you well know, and from all 3 cities, and the school board members, pretty much all of them came as well, and our chamber folks came, and so we appreciate that. The whole goal there was just to honor you for what you do for us, also to let us meet you on a personal basis, and of course, hopefully your spouse as well. But through that, all of that was done at no expense to the taxpayer. That was all funded by a private donor that took care of that. Through the process, we said, let's have a little bit of competition. So Sarah and Brooke, Susan and Christy all worked hard on this event and really lost a little bit of sleep over it to make sure that we could have some type of competitive games. In those games, we had 3 individuals or 4 individuals that actually said, we're going to donate some money that the winners could give to their charity of choice. So tonight, we will ask the winners to come forward of those 3 games in just a second, make a check presentation, and Sarah will take a picture of them. So the first one, of course, is going to go to Everyone's Wilson. And I will say that Everyone's Wilson does fill a gap for us between connecting the students that really need help out there with the churches and the people of this community that provide things that government can't provide. So it is a very worthwhile endeavor, and I know you left the ministry to go do that, and you are doing well at that. So I'd ask at this time if Commissioner Lauren Breeze, Commissioner Jeremy Rich, Commissioner Rick Brown, Miss Melanie Minter, and Miss Beth Myers of the school board to come forward. This was a team that won tonight. So if you were here, if you will stand, and Sarah, if you will work on the check presentation. Mr. Caleb Thorne from Reagan Smith donated $300 for this first game. This team won, and they chose to give this money to Everyone's Wilson. So Sarah, if you'll let the check presentation and take a quick picture, we'll move on to the next one. You would help me congratulate Everyone's Wilson and this team that won. Thank you. That was $300 that were going from Mr. Caleb Thorne and Reagan Smith. The next one, if I ask Miss Kathy Sweeney, that's here from Wilson County CASA, to come forward. And the people that were on that team was Mr. Bill Trevitt, councilman for City of Lebanon, City of Mount Juliet, Commissioner Kevin Costley, City Councilman Mr. Phil Moorhead from Lebanon, Steve Casey, councilman from Watertown, councilman, and Miss Carrie Pfeiffer, school board member. So if any of those are here, if you would come forward at this time. And Mr. Eddie Poole. Eddie Poole was the donator of this money. And actually, he had donated $250, which is going to go to CASA, but when he found out who it was, he said, hey, I would like to make that $500. So we appreciate that. So that is great. Again, congratulations, team, and thank you, Mr. Eddie, for your generous donation.
You scared him.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. And the last and final donation was actually who could hula hoop the longest. The mayors were involved, and they picked out 3 or 4 people. Needless to say, I did not win that one. But our own commissioner, Chad Bernard, won that particular one. And so I'll ask Mr. Chad Bernard to come forward. And then the donation for this top prize was given by State Farm agent Jeff Gannon. Jeff donated $500. Jeff and Caleb both were a part of the first original Power of One meeting that we had at Mayheim many years ago to bring everybody together, and so we appreciate your foresight with that. That was a Leadership Wilson project, I believe. So State Farm, Jeff Gannon donated $500, and in the process, Commissioner Bernard said, shoot, 500 is not enough, and so he donated $500 from Chad's Winter Wonderland. So we have $1,000 now going to Mr. John Wiedrich from the Bridge House. So I know he is here, so I'm going to ask him to come. Again, a new nonprofit that this will go to, and so he is a recipient of $1,000 thanks to Mr. Chad Bernard and Mr. Jeff Gannon. So thank you so much for that, and I will ask you to take 2 quick seconds, if you can do it less than 30 seconds. Sure. What is the Bridge House? Where is the Bridge House? What is the Bridge House?
We provide temporary housing for children and youth that are in DCS custody and wraparound care for foster and adoptive families. Been open since October 3rd and served over 400 kids at our location. So just a few months, and made a huge impact. So thank you so much.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Yes, sir. I heard the reason you won is because you're the tallest commissioner. It took a long time. Yes, yes. It was the hips. It was the hips.
Can you demonstrate?
Can you show us how you did it?
Yeah, we need a demonstration.
Demonstration.
Come on, Chad.
We don't need to see that.
He didn't see that.
So much. The Mount Juliet Lifestyles magazine also covered this, and so this story will also be along with those pictures in it, and you'll see that in their next publication. So thank you all for being a part of that. Very worthy cause and a fun time to make all of that happen. If you will, record your presence in tonight's meeting if you hadn't already done so on your panel. And 24 present, 1 absent, and Commissioner Keith did give me a call about where he is at tonight, a little under the weather. Historic moment this time, Commissioner Jerry McFarland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, gentlemen of the commission. I've got about 3 sections of this, and I guess if I'm going to call it something, I believe I'd call it a story about the Clay family. But the first thing I want to do, you can see up here on the screen, the old courthouse. The old courthouse left the square in 1968. This facility was built. Miss Eddie Clay is the lady there painting that. She was a well-known artist of the time. She painted not only the courthouse, but many other structures around Middle Tennessee, including the state capitol, I understand, but I know Castle Heights and Cumberland and others. Well, several years after that, if you'll hold on that, please. Several years after that, Miss Eddie Clay gave to my father, one of these commissioners been up here in my package. One of the commissioners.
Let that happen no more. We won't let that happen no more.
Miss Eddie Clay gave my father one of the prints of that, and I want to present it to the mayor. So, Mayor, if you'll stand up and accept that. And that print is complete with phone booth and popcorn popper. So, it's totally totally correct there, if you will. Miss Clay did a really good job of all the painting, but there's some other things about the Clay family I'd like to mention. If I can get the next slide up, please. That's the city of Lebanon, and I'll point out a few things to you. The courthouse is the building that's being painted. Jail stood right here. Terry Ash hadn't become sheriff yet. This was the bus station. The Boy Scout cabin was down here. And over on the very north corner over there is where Clay's service station was. Now, Bill Clay, not only did he run a service station, there was another one right here on West Main also. Not only did he run a service station there, but the wool mill being up in the top right-hand corner, he made trips out west every year to buy sheep, like train loads of sheep. And if we can get the next slide, train loads of sheep, and there were, I was told, as much as 8 acres. It's hard for me to conceive, but there was large corrals that the sheep would be offloaded at Martha, Tennessee, for purchase by local farmers, and that was kind of like a cash crop. And I have some of the type of wool that was being made, because then could be sold directly to the woolen mills here in Lebanon, which is the only industry we had at the time, thanks to the Egerton family. But that wool, a farmer could buy the sheep, take them home, raise them, shear the wool, carry it to the either the co-op sale or to the Lebanon woolen mills, and it'd be converted into blankets, etc. And I'm gonna pitch this to you because you look like a good football player. Pass that around. That's carded wool, and I'll tell you about that just in a minute. But what I want to tell you is, you drive through the country today, you see a lot of cows. You don't see many sheep. There's some out there, but not very many. About 5%, I understand, but I don't see that 5%. But it was a big deal in Lebanon, Tennessee, and I mean a huge deal back in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. They had what's known as the Sheep Festival. There is the Sheep Festival, as they had parades coming across the square. Unbelievable how it was celebrated. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, you got Taylorsville and Leeville and others that provide floats that would come across the square and different things of that nature. Next, please. Dignitaries would even come and watch the sheep festival and the activities here. Does anybody know who this guy is right here? That's Governor Prentice Cooper. You probably heard the name Cooper in the Nashville arena. But Governor Cooper would even come up here. It was, as I said earlier, a big, big thing. Next, please. Leeville, Taylorsville, down here, Taylorsville, Leeville. Each community put on their own float. It's better than homecoming. Wendell, it's better than homecoming. Next, please. I think might be the last one here. If you notice right here, it says Clay's and the Y's falling off the float there. Clay's Service Station, and that's the station I was showing you about. But now, I was at the co-op the other day, and I ran into a lady that was kind of loading a truck out there on the dock, and I thought it was kind of strange because they had some strange-looking feeding pails there. Miss Brittany Barrett, would you stand up? Are you back there somewhere? Please. She's a FAA advisor. We now have in this county Middle Tennessee Agricultural Academy. They're in the sheep business, correct? Got a big grin, I like that. First homeschool FFA program in the state of Tennessee. Is Jack Philbin here, the president? Okay. Cooper Schatz, how to pronounce your name? He is the vice president of it. Is it Blake George or Drake George? Stand up. He's one of the advisors. And Julia, how do you pronounce it, Julia? Ozzy. Okay. Well, you did better than I could do. So anyway, these folks are now getting the sheep business started back in Wilson County again with an FAA program and a private homeschool. Thank you for being here, and thank you for standing up. It's just amazing what goes on in our world and what you run up on. But anyway, I wanted to share with you that there were things that took place here in Wilson County almost 100 years ago that we can't even imagine nowadays. Can you, Haskell? I mean, I didn't know there were that many. It was bigger than the cattle were at the time. So anyway, that concludes that part of it. I got one more little thing to offer here. Miss Linda, down at the archives, has come out with 4th edition Pictorial History of Wilson County. It is excellent. I would certainly recommend that you go down and get yourself a copy of it and educate yourself. This is the 4th volume. There's 3 others there also. So that's your history moment for the day. And thank y'all for coming up, okay?
Commissioner McFarland, I think Miss Rachel warned before she left, those circle glasses, are they not out here in the hallway?
Out here in the hallway.
Yeah, just those right there.
This had to be painted before 1968. I mean, that picture was made before 1968.
Yeah.
But the picture I gave you was presented in 1980. There was a lot of prints, but all the clock and everything is out here in the hall.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and we'll get that picture out there along with them. And thank you for doing that. A great program tonight. I want to go to Commissioner Smith.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, I want to say thank you, Commissioner McFarland. I know it takes a lot
to pour into this, and I thank you for the history that you put into it and the effort. So thank you so much for helping us out to understand our community and our county. So absolutely, we'll have one. So thank you again.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall?
So there may be some folks in here who don't know this. Commissioner Weathers may, but out on Earhart Road, it's actually in Davidson County, but there was a family that is in that area that actually lived in a house on Earhart Road that was built from the bricks from that courthouse. Raymond Eakes and Carmine Eakes. That's my wife's great uncle and great aunt.
Wow. Outstanding. Great job. Any other questions for Commissioner McFarland? Thank you again for doing that. We'll move on now to the report from the steering committee. Commissioner Fields?
Steering Committee of the County Commission met in regular session on Thursday, January 12, 2023, in the upstairs conference room at the courthouse. A copy of the steering committee meetings are in your packet. I move that they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Adoption of the agenda, Commissioner Fields?
Each person has a copy of the agenda in their packet. I move that it be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No consent agenda tonight. There's no special recognition to my knowledge at this time. No public hearing either. So we'll move on to reports from the Minute Committee. Commissioner Fields.
The Minutes Committee of the County Commission of Wilson County met in regular session on Thursday, January 12th in the upstairs conference room in the courthouse. A copy is in your packet. I move that it be received and filed.
Second, I heard a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, the packet that was sent out did have an error in it. I notified Mrs. Dowdy, and it has been changed, but I think the ones that you have has an error in it. The number 1 should be 2 absent, I think, on page 3 or 4.
So we're good to go. Ms. Dowdy give me the nod, so she's good to go on that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay. Reading of the minutes?
Move to dispense the reading of the minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. This time I would like to introduce to you Mr. Alex Johnson. Mr. Alex tonight is going to challenge you to live a day in his world. There is a sign-up sheet once you hear Mr. Johnson talk that's going to start with Commissioner Fields and work its way around. Anyone in the audience that would like to be a part of that, elected officials included, there is a sheet on the back podium that we would love for you to sign as well if you'd like to take a part of this challenge. Mr. Alex, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Hutto. So I, first off, would like to thank you all for allowing me to be here. I want to thank Mr. Hutto for inviting me. So the Spend a Day on My Wheels Challenge will be held on Monday, February 6th. I highly encourage all of you, if you feel you can, to sign up and participate. But you may be wondering, what is the Spend a Day on My Wheels Wheelchair Challenge? I am the founder of Spend a Day on My Wheels, and the point of the challenge is to help raise awareness. So what does that mean? Well, a lot of us think that we understand somebody just by observing from an outside perspective. I can look at someone, get to know who they are and understand who they are. But I will never fully know until I'm there, until I've lived through the experience. The same goes especially for wheelchair users versus people who just walk normally. I've been in a wheelchair since 2nd grade. I have a bone and joint condition that causes abnormalities in the way that those form, so that lands me wheelchair bound. Around 4th or 5th grade, I started to ask questions as to why the world could not be accessible to me. And so I pestered my dad right there until eventually we found a contact to help us get wheelchairs so we could do this. The challenge makes you go through your daily activities, but in a wheelchair. which at first may sound not bad until you're there, about halfway through your day, and your arms feel like they're about to fall off. A lot of people say that the heavy doors, just small things, get them the most. You'll notice so many different challenges throughout your day and get a new perspective on wheelchair user life. Permanville Foundation gives us the wheelchairs and provides them to us so that we can then get more challenges in. Because it's important to fully know and fully understand one another so that change can happen. Change is needed because the imperfections in the world. And if we can make small changes, like making doors not as heavy, making sure sidewalks are clear, something that I don't normally think about, but I did this afternoon, was manual wheelchairs going over a railroad track on the sidewalk. Casters get stuck, and then what do? Construction workers working on sidewalks, and then, well, the sidewalk's closed off, so you either get in the street and try to get back on as soon as you can, or you chance it in the grass, which very difficult. So that lands me to asking you once again to please participate in this. I cannot stress enough how much people learn from it. We've been from businesses, small businesses, law firms. We've been to many schools here, even in Wilson County. And we've even been to state capitol. Representative Clark Boyd helped us get in there, and they found it to be very eye-opening and to be very helpful for them making decisions that affect everyone later. We have spoken to the governor even about this, and he really likes the idea. It's just, he's the governor. He has things to do sometime, every now and again. But he fully supports this from the conversation we had. I once again want to thank Mayor Hutto for inviting me, and that's all I got, unless there's questions.
So Alex, as this sheet starts around in a few minutes and somebody signs up, who will contact them about getting them a wheelchair so they can do that at their place of business or where they're at?
So when you sign up, I believe you are given our contact info, our email. Contact us, and then we have a total of, we'll be in touch with them and get everything settled.
Get that to you, and you go from there.
And then get it to us, and then we'll handle it from there, yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex, and we appreciate your challenge, and many of us will take you up on that. Thanks again.
Thank you all.
Commissioner Fields will start that around, and then Sarah will talk. Anybody in the audience that would like to do that, they will take care of you as well on that. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We will now go for the elections and appointments. I know you have a notary list that's on your desk. Any additions to be added, Mr. Goodall? You're good. We're good to go. Do I hear a motion to approve the notary list? Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Okay. Sports Authority, there are 3 members you are to confirm my appointment, 3 members for a 6-year term on the Sports Authority Board. I'd like to recommend for your consideration Mr. Rob Porter, Ms. Veronica Bender, Ms. Jenny Lynn Brickman. And I will, just for any new people, Commissioner Breeze asked me to do this. What is the Sports Authority? They're actually with a vehicle that was set up to hold the bond money, that there was $26 million issued in bonds to take the sewer and water to the Speedway. And then long before I got here, they made a good deal to say, hey, instead of paying your taxes to the county, you'll pay those taxes to this Sports Authority. The Sports Authority will pay the bonds off. And so the bonds have worked their way down. And because of that speedway going out there, by the way, they bring in about a little over $8 million now in property tax of all those buildings that were allowed to happen because of that speedway. So you're trading the amount of money there that was on that for those taxes really for quite a bit of revenue. But that is what they do. They're just a vehicle that they meet once a year in order to go through the audit and make sure everything is good to go. Dover Downs, of course, owns the property, and they have a letter of credit up if they ever go under, that letter of credit would take care of the rest of that bond as well at that time. But just want to let you know what that was about. Commissioner Gentry?
How many more years we have on the bond, do you know?
I'm going to think there's 11 right now is where I'm at. It's 11 or 13 one, but I think it's 11. I'll get you an update on that one. Okay? Yes, sir.
On that agreement for the, I guess you'd call it the pilot agreement.
Yes, sir.
It was my understanding, I could be wrong, that as that property was sold off in sections, that piece of that property would fall off of the amount of the tax collection that got sent towards the bond. The company would pay that difference, and instead of the county taking that tax money and sending it off for that. Is that correct?
So the property that's out there now, they're 1,500 acres, 700's been sold to Panettone. They're paying their own property tax, which has nothing to do with the bond agreement. The Dover is still responsible for the bond payment out of what property they have left.
Okay, so Dover's the original.
Yes. So the 700 acres is actually making you profit.
Even more.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good question. Any other questions on that? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the three members?
No move. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Judicial Commissioner, one full-time member. I'll turn this over to Commissioner John Gentry.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Ms. Colteroni to come up. We have one judicial commissioner to nominate for a full-time position from part-time.
Ms. Lisa? Yes.
Commissioners, good evening. I hope everybody's year is getting off to a good start. I would like to introduce to you tonight Commissioner Anita Fox. She is at the back podium. This body elected Commissioner Fox to a part-time position in September. She comes to us from Buffalo, New York, so she's having a bad day today. But she's done an excellent job in our office. She sailed through the training program, and she's proven to be a very valuable asset to Wilson County and our office. And tonight, I would like to ask this body to consider Anita Fox for a full-time position for a 1 year, to be a 1 year, for a 1 year term for a full-time commissioner.
Commissioner Smith? I got a motion and a second now. Commissioner Smith?
Hey, good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I've not heard anything about your background. If you would, please tell us as the body what your background is, please.
Well, I'm from Buffalo, New York, as Director Colteroni said. I was I'm sorry. I was a state correction officer in New York, and I have a bachelor's degree.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anita.
Additionally, on your desk tonight, we put a letter from the Judicial Commissioner's Office just to highlight some of our accomplishments over the past year, to let you know what our office has been doing. We've had a very busy year. We wrote last year 6,161 warrants. We're up about 7% in our office. That includes search warrants, criminal summons, citations, arraignment hearings, bail review hearings. We have been able to attract several new commissioners. Counting Commissioner Fox, we have 3 new commissioners, and I think that's a direct result of the pay study and the county salary increases. And probably one of our biggest highlights this year is we now have a fully operational active desktop server and backup server. And what that means for our office is that we are fully electronic. All of our documents are now stored electronically, but it also provides our office with a much-needed database so that we have a resource to look up additional information about people that we're seeing for arraignment hearings and bail review hearings. So we have been quite busy, and we look forward to continuing our progress to serve Wilson County in the upcoming year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lisa. And before I go to my next talk here, I would like to say that Dr. Meyer came in. She was also one of our winners, one of our teams at Winners. So again, thank you for being here. We recognized them earlier tonight, so thank you for being here. So we are good on judicial commissioners now. We're ready to move forward. I have a planning commission. Ms. Margaret Dixon had chose to resign her position on the planning commission. I'd like to recommend to you that you confirm my appointment of Mr. Jeffrey Turner to fill her position, which would expire in December 2025. Information about Mr. Turner was in your packet. What is the pleasure of this body?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? The record reflected was unanimous as well. Mr. Turner is with us tonight. Thank you for being here. BOZA member, alternate, I would like to recommend you to appoint an alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I'd like to recommend Mr. Justin Manning. Information about Mr. Manning was there. Having an alternate there allows that board, in case somebody is sick or cannot be there, to make sure that we have a quorum. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Report from the Emergency Management Committee, Commissioner Chad Bernard.
Thank you, Mayor. The EMA met Tuesday, January 9th, 5 o'clock at the WEMA Training Center. I move the minutes be received and filed.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Report from the Emergency Management Director's report. Director Joey Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
County Commission, good evening. Biggest thing I want to make note of is our end-of-year report that's in the packet. Medical calls ended up 16,065, 692 fires, rescue calls 3,231, and total calls was 19,988, so just short of 20,000. Last year we were at 19,423. So calls are just going up as normal. I guess more people that move in, more calls we're going to have. So our contingency plan is still active. We're 16 positions, and that's everything included, administrative-wise and response-wise. We do have 7 students fixing to start. These are certified in February. And we're looking at still having opened up. We have more applications that we're going through right now, so hopefully we can get all those positions filled before too long. Other than that, that concludes my report. Unless you have any questions.
Motion to approve report.
Second.
Got a motion second. Commissioner Gentry.
Yeah, Joey, just a couple questions. The new stations, can you give us an update on the new fire stations?
They're still going along.
I can't.
Probably.
If you need me to.
Yeah, because you probably know more on that side.
That's no trouble. You got the day-to-day, and I know you have a lot going on. And I will say that, yes, Station 10 is moving along. That's one on Central Pike. We are working through that. Actually, you'll have something coming to you next month to take care of a sewer issue out in front that will be brought to you in order to go ahead and lay the sewer line so that when it is brought through, it will not disturb what we've got there. But Station 10 is in pretty good shape. Everything is going. They got a few things left. Probably April will be ready to go there for that one. May will be a little bit for the Station 3. Station 3 is the one over on Clemens Road. It's all good to go with everything. The only thing we were lacking there, we got 70% of the brick in, 30% we didn't have. It was on back order. So that's going to take that a little while to get there, but it should be probably May before that one gets there.
Are we going to have equipment to put in the station?
All the equipment, from Station 3 that's over there now will go completely over to Station 3, so no problem there.
No problems.
And the fire truck, I believe, is already in. Is that correct, Mr. Joey? Yeah. So all of that will be, everything else will go from there out there to Central Pike.
Personnel will follow it, right?
Personnel will follow it.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cooper, again, thank you for you and your team. I know that you guys have a lot on you, and we support you. I mean, at the end of the day, I know that you guys have worked hard. You guys are doing what you can to help save the taxpayers, and we thank you for that. With everything that you're doing with providing an in-house school for everybody that's going to be involved with being hired, we thank you. I know we talked a little bit in EMA committee. I don't want to get into that. I would hope everybody would go back and look at their minutes. But I'll tell you right now, we are working on what we talked about. So I would encourage each and every one of you to look back at your minutes and at least look at what we're talking about. So again, with that, I yield back.
Thank you.
Commissioner McFarland?
Joe, is Mount Juliet running ambulance services now?
They are not. Last I was told, and this is just information that come from their chief, that they were looking at maybe March, could be April, but I think my understanding is that they're planning to open their ambulance service when we open Station 3 and Station 10.
Are we in a duplicity of effort here?
Sir?
Are we in a duplicity of effort between us and Mount Juliet having two stations in the same town, and what kind of agreement's been worked out? I know we're in the city responding out in the county, and they're in the city.
Yeah, we're still in
mutual aid.
Yeah, until they meet with us again to finalize all that information. They are talking quite regularly, both EMS chiefs, I guess, if you will. So,
Commissioner Hall?
I got a two-part question, actually. Maybe Commissioner Hobbs can answer the second one. How close are we on getting rid of the contingency plan?
Depends on applications coming in, you know.
I get, like, how many people are needed?
Probably when these 7 get through, which once they come on board, 30 days is what it takes for them to go through their orientation, their rides, things like that. Okay. Because right now with the 16 that were uncertified, now that they're fire, when they're not in class, they're working. So along with these 7, when they come aboard, then we're probably able to have them open constantly.
Gotcha. Thank you. And on the ladder truck, do you have a timeline? I don't know who can.
September or October, because we were able to get one that was on the assembly line. So there's a little bit of a head start there. So probably toward the end of the year, more than likely.
Director, I read the comments that Commissioner Smith mentioned, talking about you losing employees to Mount Juliet Fire. Why do you think that is?
Because my people are good.
Then why do they want to leave?
Because they're getting more money.
Okay.
And they only have to do one job. So for somebody that's not in it that long, they're going to go that route.
Yeah.
So
you made my point. I hope we, as a body, can continue to look at the pay of our emergency responders to ensure that there's no reason for them to leave and go to another agency. Thank you.
Just to comment on that, you know, we talked earlier in the Budget Committee the last time. The STEP plan, of course, will be coming back to you this time, and that STEP plan will be a plan that connects everyone together on a STEP system, and also will give a first-year STEP. They will look at that, and of course, in the next year, we'll take another step, and that'll be the next year, or that year will be the year that we will reevaluate again on an every 2-year basis. And so those will be looked at as we do this time, as we try to get those people plugged in there. So that is still on our radar. We're not forgetting those at all.
Sure.
Commissioner Franklin?
Yeah, Joey, one more question about the Mount Juliet fire protection thing.
Mm-hmm.
Citizen calls 911, and it's got to be divided between 2 agencies whenever they go swing into this. How is that gonna cause time delay? Is that gonna cause a problem? I've lived out there since '82, and I can't tell you where all of Mount Juliet is. It's back and forth on multiple roads, mostly in my district.
I think I can answer that one for you. As they talked about it earlier, it's no different than the Sheriff's Department and the City Police. They'll do the same thing. Whatever's inside the city, 911 will make that call, and the same thing with the ambulance if they choose to go that route. They said that was their comments to me. We already do it with the Sheriff's Department and the City Police Department. We don't have any trouble there, no issues.
That's based on street address, correct?
It's based on whatever they go on right now. I don't guess you have any problem right now, do you, Captain?
No, sir, we don't. And on the flip side, I think, the county is going to answer the county jurisdictional calls, and the Mount Juliet EMS service is going to answer the city of Mount Juliet calls, just like we do for police. But if the county sheriff needs our help, Mount Juliet Police is going to go help, and vice versa. If we need the county sheriff's help, county sheriff is going to come help us. So I think there's obviously boundaries, but I don't think those boundaries are fences, and you can definitely cross over.
And that happens today in our world today. Anytime
Absolutely.
we need Mount Juliet Fire, they're there. And so it'll be the same thing. So good point. Hope that helped.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Breeze?
Director Cooper, I got a phone call today from a citizen who is concerned about Fire Station 10 and Central Pike and the traffic on Central Pike. So I told her that I would ask you a couple of questions about it. Specifically, is there going to be a light, an emergency light, so if the fire truck is leaving, that there's going to be some type of a lighting system so that way cars know that to get out of the way?
Normally how we do that, because I understand this, those are state routes. So normally
Right.
TDOT gets with us and see what we would like versus what they normally put up. And that's on the road itself and at the intersection.
Right.
So we're still in detail with them on doing that, but yes, something will be done for that.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I got a phone call about it today, so just wanted to clarify.
Commissioner Smith?
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be quiet. I'm on EMA, and I love our people. But again, since, Mr. Chandler brought up, the fact of Mount Juliet and people leaving, we want to make sure that we take care of our people. I think that everyone in this body wants to take care of the entirety of EMA, of WEMA. But again, I might be the guy that's going to step out there and say it. I don't mind saying it. If we have another city reaching out to our employees, let me just go ahead and say this, reaching out for our employees to try to recruit them, that's a problem. And we have to address that. You said that in your EMA committee. I'll be the guy to say that. It's a problem. And I'll be sure to go to Mount Juliet and tell them it's a problem. I'm sure that it might make some of you guys uncomfortable, but that's a problem. We have to fix that. Because there are some that are reaching out to our employees, I get it, to make more money. Okay, that's where it's at. So that's kind of what we have to deal with within now and with another year. How much money are they going to be provided? Because am I not right? That's where they're putting up front.
Yes.
Okay.
And since our meeting, I did have a chance to meet with Mount Juliet Fire Chief Luffman, and we did come to an agreement, non-written, of course, verbal, that from now on my people would be pretty safe, that they were looking elsewhere. So I
The only
can
reason I
say
brought this
that.
up because that's what you brought to us.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that we take care of our people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Director Cooper. Appreciate that. Report from Law Enforcement Committee, Commissioner Kurtz.
Mr. Chairman, Law Enforcement Committee met on the 10th day of January 2023 at 5 p.m. in the Sheriff's Office Training Room. The minutes are in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Got a motion, second. Any discussion? Commissioner Denton.
I was going to speak to the other, but I didn't get punched in time. Sorry. No problem.
Sorry. He's still here if you have a question, if you want to ask it.
I just wanted to ask that if our new pay plan, which we worked, I got in on the end of it last year.
Yes, sir.
Did we help our, did we help WEMA with our pay increase, or at least we did some leveling last year before the end of the year, and then this year it's coming up again. Will this make us more competitive, or will it just kind of get us up a little bit?
And Director Cooper, if you could just stand up from where you're at right there and just address the issue of, did the pay plan help you last time?
Yes, of course, we were able to keep employees and get a few. But since then, if I'm not mistaken, I think once we've done ours, Mount Juliet had done another one. So we put them up a little bit more. So naturally, a lot of them went for that. And on their lower end, which is higher, were the uncertified, once they become firefighters at our paramedic level. But yeah, I think once we do the next one and go with the step increase with it, I do feel that it'd make us competitive again, yes.
Good. Thank you.
Commissioner Kurtz had spoke. I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the sheriff's, on the law enforcement committee meeting? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Sheriff's report. Sheriff Bryan did text me and say he was not going to be here. I was thinking maybe Chief Howe, but I don't.
They're all in Mexico.
Sir?
I believe they're all in Mexico.
Okay, so we will move, since we do not have a report on him, we'll look for him the next time. There's a written report in the packet, so I'll take a motion to approve that one. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Report from the Education Committee, Commissioner Marlowe.
Education Committee met January 12th in the conference room. Minutes are in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Director of Schools report, Mr. Jeff Luttrell.
Good evening. You do have my report in print. Just some highlights of that report. Still update on enrollment. We are up in our pre-K through 12, 697 students. There's some bullet points there you can look at. We've had some withdrawal, but we still have more new students. High school enrollment is up 478 since the year end, as of January. What that means is last year we were up, if my memory serves me correct, at the end of the school year we were up 1,100. So approximately, in 18 months, we're approximately up 1,600 students. And I have some information we'll get to in a minute on open enrollment that shows where our numbers are at. 500 new high school students this year. We've got some room, but I just want to point that out to let you know what is happening with this new enrollment, and every 25 or 50 that comes in puts a stressor. So please be mindful of that as we go into budget. In my tenure, I think we've added about 12 new positions is all we've added. But we've taken on this many more students. So as you can see, I'm laying the groundwork for budget time. The students are here, and we have to have positions funded to take care of them. It is open enrollment beginning February the 1st, March 2nd. If you'll flip to the back page of that report, and that'll give you an indication. Our policy is 90%. If a school is 90% capacity, we do not allow open enrollment. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, looks like 10 or 11 schools that are already at 90%. Now, 90%, we've still got room to handle some growth, but we think that's a fair number of where you need to say we're not going to allow outside enrollment. We've also decided this year, I presented to the board, due to the fact that we're sharing Green Hill and Mount Juliet High School with West Wilson and Mount Juliet, we have, due to hosting middle school, we've closed those for open enrollment, just getting too many people on campus. Hopefully within a year there will be some room at those schools to allow some open enrollment if the numbers subside. Pay attention to that sheet. You can see each of our schools. This is where we are classroom capacity as of 12/20. And you can see some, there's some stressors there. I will point out Rutland Elementary is already over. We rezoned Glayville to get some relief to Rutland, and now what's happened with some new students that moved in, it's thrown that school where they're over. West Elementary's 157 over their capacity, classroom capacity, and you can see that. We know that every time this happens, then you have more issues because you get complaints on traffic and flow. And we're mindful of that. We were meetings today working on some of those issues we've got at Mount Juliet. Middle School. I'm here to report that we are aware and we're working, always looking if we need to change a plan, we will. But at some point, you run out of plans when the population just absolutely takes over. There is no more plans. You have to make concessions and do the best you can with what you have. So I wanted to point that out. It is School Board Appreciation Week. I would like to publicly again thank our school board members for all they do. And it's more than what people see, I can assure you. And so I appreciate what they do in working to provide our students and teachers and our school system what we need. I did include also in my report, you have our Wilson County Teacher of the Year representatives from each school. I know some of you might want to reach out to those in your area. And to me, the highest honor you can get is when you're selected by your peers. And these are selected by peers at their schools that they work with every day. So if you get a chance, congratulate these folks. West Wilson Middle is starting to see walls. I like snow. A lot of director schools don't like snow, but I like snow. I can't help it. I always have. But I don't want any snow. I want dry, sunny days right now so we can get that building up and give us some relief. Also, something you probably won't get out there and see it, some of you, but if you were there today, demolition occurred at Watertown Middle School on the old bleachers. Mayor, I don't know if you've seen that. Took it all down in a day. A lot of sadness in Watertown. Yeah, I know. A lot of sadness, a lot of history there. But again, my report was there. When they hit it one time, it had got to that point, the concrete, the pillars. But I know there is a lot of sad memories, but it just goes to show you time takes its toll on everything. And so we got some decisions to make there at that school. We'll be the first one to tell you some tough decisions just because of the age of the facilities. And these are issues. I like to look at them as opportunities, and I believe we can find the right answers. Any questions for me?
Can I get a motion on this report first? In a second, good to go. And I'm going to go to Commissioner Glover. I'll be right with you.
Just a quick question. As we get the students coming into the schools, how does it work as far as the money we get per student? Do you apply once a month, or does it have to be at the beginning of the end of the school year to be able to get that funding?
Previously, we're funded under BEP. The interesting thing about that is that lagged a year behind. So the influx we've had has had major impacts. So now we're going with the TISA, the TISA plan. We still do not, that's not been finalized. That question has been asked. That's one of the things you're going to have to settle. But that's quite a accomplishment if you can keep that funding current. I understand why it has to but I don't know what they're going to do with TISA, but it will be per pupil.
Is that something going to be the next year or so, or is it
supposed to go to TISA July 1?
Or will we get back, kind of like back pay on the?
Yeah, we'll get our money, our growth, and that's, they project. So yes, we will receive state increase for these students. But what happens, that's great for 1 year, but when you start seeing these patterns of just continuous, 500 students is a stretch on a system, any system. But yes, it does lag a year behind. Thank you.
Commissioner Breeze?
Kind of an extension of what Commissioner Glover was asking. I know at the Education Committee meeting you mentioned that you were going to a conference with other superintendents and you were going to talk about TISA. I was going to see if you could give us an update as to what you know
I was
at this point.
Commissioner Swin last Friday, and we had a chance to sit down and ask some questions. It's not been through the government ops yet. I've reached out to some other people, and they tell me they think it's on track. They think it's going to go through as written. But that's not finalized. Until that's finalized, it's just a big thing we was wanting was projections, and we were told not to expect projections February, March, so I would expect not to get them the last 2 weeks in March on our projections for next year.
Okay. Yeah, I know legislative cutoff isn't until January 31st, so.
Correct. But I've reached out to our legislator. I'm not getting any information that there's a lot of feel that nobody has the feeling there's going to be they feel like TISA was the plan that was put in place and will go through.
Okay, so they're not factoring any big changes or anything. Thank you.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes. So Can you tell us a little bit about the open enrollment? I think this is fairly new for Wilson County, is it not?
State law passed last year where you have to have open enrollment if you have room in your schools. And law allowed you to determine that policy, and that's the policy we put in place.
Is there some sort of qualifiers for that? Is it needs-based or?
It's not needs-based. It's on application only.
Okay, so first come, first served type thing?
First comes, first served. Now, we do have a plan. If you get more requests than you have that would put you over that 90%, then we'd go into a lottery format.
Right.
We did not have to do that last year. Of course, you won't know this year. But what was interesting when we did that, in years past, it's always been a big deal about who got to go where. And it's one of the things I brought to put in a systematic approach. Last year, we had about half the number of requests that we did the previous year. My big concern is you're going to do this, you do it up front, first come, first serve, you cut it off. If not, you have a lottery and you leave it at that, and you don't turn it into deciding this child gets to go and this child does not get to go.
Right.
They're all taxpayers.
Thank you, Director.
And Commissioner Clark, no disrespect to you a while ago, I just go by what's in the hopper here. And so, okay. Commissioner Gentry.
Yeah, Jeff, how close are we to getting FEMA money on the rebuilding of the middle school?
Well, since we've started that process, we've had two different managers. So every time you get a new manager, what that does. I will tell you where we're at. We've requested another meeting here, I think the 26th of January, to just reconvene. We've got 2 or 3 of the projects that have been obligated, which means going to be paid, but we've not received the money. But that is not the big money. That is on some of the insurance, what the insurance didn't play. But we are continuously, we got a meeting, hopefully the 26th, if everybody accepts, and I will give you more information after that and we get more hard numbers.
Okay, I know we have the land for the new schools, and you were telling me the other day you have to get the architect to do it. Is that where we are now?
Yeah, we're just starting. I met with Mayor Hutto last week, just talk about some things. I have had a meeting just preliminary to look at some plans, and we will be moving through that in February to see what we can do there.
Now, one property, you were going to put a middle school and an elementary, correct?
Correct.
Now, Lebanon has built an elementary with a double kitchen area. Are we doing something like that, or have you considered that?
We have not. We have not considered that.
Okay.
Because you're looking at our elementary school will be 1,500 students. I don't know if you want to back. I don't know if you want to back, or 1,000 students. I'm sorry. I don't know if you want to back a 1,500 student middle school up and touch it. It can be on the same property.
That's fine with me. I just wondered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Luttrell, thank you for your report. Really quick, one question for you. It was brought to my attention today. Any words on the West Elementary traffic? I know that there's supposed to be some meetings coming up there with TDOT, along with
Well, there will be a parent meeting on the 31st. I'll be attending. We're looking at just seeing if there's anything else we can do, and we're trying to come up with some ideas. But TDOT, I think they have put something out. There's been something put out, but I think it's 24, if I read that correctly, or got some information. But I can't control that state road, but we're looking to see if we can double loop something, possibly put a gravel situation in. But again, we're having to put portables out there, so it's one of those situations we're running out of space to do.
Now, I also invite Commissioner Chaminade in with this conversation, because I know we kind of share this district as well. I know it's been an issue for a long time, so thank you again.
Building off of that, our board did back several months ago made a recommendation to have a group come in and look at several things: busing, routing, and zoning. We have our first report back. My board will get that report from that group in February, and we brought in an outside company that does this all over the country to look at some things, to see if there's some things we can improve. Ideally, we can get more students on our bus, but we've got to be able to make sure we can provide the right routing and enough drivers to do that. That's the number one thing that could eliminate traffic in schools. So we'll just have to see where that goes.
And to add to the conversation there, so the engineering or the design has been done. We got that from them. You won't see it on the TDOT website because it's a safety project. They actually poured some asphalt the other day to cover up the gully that was there. I actually got a call today on that said, I can't believe we're doing that. Said people are trying to pass over there thinking it's a lane and then running out that it's not a lane and can't get back in, so I can't win for losing. But so that's there, and right-of-ways being bought now. Should sometime in the fall, this fall, is when there should be more work done on the possible construction. They are talking about laying some millings on the other side of the road, away from the school for possible people to use that, although they will not authorize that because you cannot pass on the side of the road, as Mr. Chandler's looking at me right now. But that is the two things they're doing, but they are working hard on that. And so when you don't see it on the TDOT website, just know it's a safety project. Money has been appropriated. It's going to happen. It just can't happen quick enough.
Really quick to add to that, I just was reached out to a couple school board members. Just want to pass that along, just inquiring. So thank you guys.
Okay. Commissioner Hall?
Yes, Mr. Luttrell, I being from the Watertown area, my district's out there. You live out there, and I'm sure you've heard from some folks, maybe, I don't know, and I've seen a lot of the sentimental memories about the bleachers at the middle school. Would there be a plan or a possibility of, I don't even know if it's possible, liability issues, or even if it's feasible with the material left over that was brought down, of people in the community possibly getting a piece of that or anything like that?
I don't know if you've seen that today. I don't know how many pieces are going to be left when
Right.
they get done. It's pretty good. I hit that thing went. What you run into there always, with bricks and stuff, sometimes you can, but then there is a liability on any of that material that you take out of there. We're talking about 65-year-old concrete and how that might impact. So that was not part of our plan. And part of that demo is they have control of that. Of course, they're going to sell. I know they pulled the aluminum, one of the first things they did. But no, that was not part of our plan. And some of that is due to liability concerns where somebody could come back and say, if it was bricks, I think we might be able to look at. But sometimes even with bricks, you have to look at asbestos. So there's all kind of issues. And this was just, it's going to be concrete and it's going to be crushed.
Thank you. Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans?
Sorry to go back to the TISA topic, but the TISA program, it replaces the BEP, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, are there any state restrictions on how that money is spent?
Well, that was one of the great selling points on that it would come to us and there would be no restrictions. But there is, I did notice one bill that's been filed as a bill that would put a limit on for nurses, which we already funded that, or not quite hardly that, or like a counselor. So initially, no, but until it comes out of government ops and we get the rules, they're capable, they have the power to do any restriction on that they want. But one of the selling points would become to us, and this would be your funding, and there would be no restrictions.
Were there no restrictions on the BEP program?
Yes, BEP had a formula that we had to follow, and that's why you have stepped up as county commission. We've always funded over that formula. I'll give you just a brief example since you've asked to educate. A BEP formula would cover, if I remember correctly, 6 nurses. We have 26 nurses. And all that's funded. And all the BEP formula funded was 66.5%, I think that's correct, or 65% of the salary on their formula. So they were saying, we're going to pay you 65%, which they did for 6 nurses. Our district put 26 nurses, and that's where you have stepped up and overfunded that BEP formula, and is one of the reasons we have the successful schools we have.
Thank you. Commissioner Dow?
I was just going to ask about the bleachers. Was this not insurance or anything like that? You just decided to tear them down?
Well, they fail.
Since it being a hazard, I didn't know if
Yeah,
the
they-
insurance company would say take them down or anything.
Well, I wanted to repair them, and I couldn't get an engineer to write me a letter. And I talked to 3 different ones. One of them wouldn't even call me back after he went and looked at it. So there's no time is taking its toll, and they had failed. And we had to, of course, we couldn't even use them this year. That field was not used for safety. And really, I'm thankful to get them down. Just I've been thinking in the last few weeks in that community, as many kids can have access, it was time for them to come down.
Are they going back up, though?
We will have to make that decision, how we handle that. Just some rough numbers on metal bleachers. You're looking at probably $750,000. But we're going to have to decide as the board, what are we going to do moving forward?
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Director Luttrell.
Thank you.
Register of Deeds report is in your packet. I know Miss Jackie is still with us tonight. If you have any questions for her, do I hear a motion to approve a report?
Second.
Any discussion there? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Trustees report is there for Mr. Majors. Do I hear a motion to approve it?
Second.
Any discussion there? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? And the road superintendent report, I'll bring Mr. Murphy.
Second.
Oh, we're getting in a hurry.
He would he would glad to take you up on that, I guarantee you. He gonna make it quick anyway.
Everybody should got new road list. Added 2.69 miles that's added this year. I'm sure everybody got electronic, but anybody needs a hard copy, let me know or the office know, and we'll get you a hard copy. Because we do, our guys all use them. You want one, but a lot of the guys, they use it out on the road and stuff like that. Our guys are out patching, weather permitting, which it's been either raining or, but we're trying to do some patching. Our slope mowers are running, and we're just doing our general maintenance, and that concludes my report.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Murphy, tell them how many miles that we added this year to the road list?
2.69 miles.
2.69 miles.
2.7. Right at 2.7.
And then on your desk tonight, you'll see a packet, a piece of paper like this, and this is a survey that's going to go out to all of our citizens as we contracted with Collier that I talked to you about going for that grant that we could possibly, where it would rank the roads that needed improvements in Wilson County based on traffic and hazards or fatalities. So that they're working on that, but they also want public input. That's a part of being able to qualify for this grant. So this is what we're doing on that, and the Road Commission approved the questions last month at our meeting, and so it's being pushed out now to make sure that the public has a chance to have some input. Commissioner Smith.
Really quick, Mr. Murphy, thank you for your report. I know that you and I have been in conversation with what I'm dealing with within my district. Can you help us understand, do we go off the Register of Deeds, or do we go off what the road maps say within what you provide?
Talking about the road list, on the road list, what we
Correct,
got.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Some of that, I mean, it just depends, because every area is different.
Sure.
You might have right of way on this road, and this road you might not have 20 foot, and this road you might have 50 foot. So it's kind of when we done the road list years ago, we had to go through and kind of pick, we kind of guess at some of it. So it's just something we have to look at whenever it gets.
Right, and again, with the situation I'm dealing with, we're dealing with city saying there's this much right of way, and we've got county saying this is what the right of way we're showing. So I guess if it ever happens with any of your district, any of 25 districts within the county, where do we find that balance? Who do we have to go to that balance?
Well, it's best to come to our office, because a lot of times it goes on how much land's there. Sure. I mean, if it's over so many acres, years ago, a lot of your older farms, like it's on a lot of these roads, there was no right of way. A lot of the right of way went to the center of the road, actually. Right. But when we went through and done the improvements, whether it's 12 foot wide or 14 foot wide, it's actually county, because it's sent to the state. And they've documented it, so it's ours. But we might not have no right of way at all on that.
So let me ask you just one question to follow up with that. So does the county have the final say-so, or is it going to be with the Register of Deeds?
The county does. Road Department.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Mr. Murphy? I think I already got a motion in a second, didn't I?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? I got that before we started, didn't I, Mr. Murphy? Ag Center report, Mr. Quentin Smith. Nothing going on at the Ag Center, are there?
There's a whole lot goes on out there. So, Mayor and Commissioners, I'll give you kind of a what I've been called and asked about. Some of y'all might have got called on Christmas night about the blackout out there at the light show. But I would say one thing, Middle Tennessee Electric come through, and we were only down about an hour and 10 minutes. We had a lot of people panicked. According to what they reported to me, we had like 21 that called 911, thought they was being held hostage and everything else out there. But they got it back on as quick as they could. The light show guy, he left out last Thursday. I reported this to the Ag Management Committee. I thought I'd just run through it to tell you what all at that event, what it does. There was 40,076 cars that went through that paid. There's an additional 318 families with Down syndrome groups went through free of charge. 264 families with autism. We had a little over 1,500 military and veteran families went through free of charge. Joseph's Storehouse received over 2,500 pounds of donated canned food and items. The Salvation Army chapter set up at the ticket booth. If any of you went through there, you would have seen them kind of shaking a bell at you or whatever. They raised a little over $10,000. Ronald McDonald House, through donated ticket sales, got $20,000. Fiddler's Grove got one deal where they donated them 600 tickets, and they completely sold out this year of their tickets, and that was $12,000. Then they come back and give them another round of tickets that they got $1,600 out of. Some of you participated in the 5K run out there the night before the light show opened up itself. They raised from that for the Wounded Warrior Project a little over $22,000. So that gives you an idea of what went on with the light show. We just completed our January mule sale weekend before last. The top pair of mules brought $33,500. They sold a lot of mules in that 20 to 30,000, and then a lot of them brought 10 to 20. If any of you, some of you I know was out there for that mule sale. They sold over 200. They didn't give me the final count, but they sold over 200. There was people here from just about everywhere. We had people in RVs. We filled up a lot of motel rooms. Actually, they had me calling, seeing if I could locate them a place to stay. So anyhow, it was a very big success. The Mexican rodeo, if any of you have never been to a Mexican rodeo, we're fixing to have one of them the first weekend of February. So it's quite an ordeal, I can tell you if you've never attended one of those. Basically, I've had people ask me if we have a day off out there. So far, we ain't had any days off. The thing about it is on Sunday after the mule sale, somebody left a gate open. We had chased down 6 mules out there running around. It took a little while to do that because these mules weren't halter broke. So we finally got those put back in, and Reese Brothers assured me that they won't let that happen again because I got pretty ill about that, really. So anything, like a lot of people think we're closed on Christmas, like we have families that come and have their Christmas out there. So we're booked something every night. Weekends are a lot more than that. We're looking forward to the Tennessee building being opened up. Hopefully that will get going by the 1st of April. Mayor might have more exact time than I do, but it looks like every time we think we're about ready to open, we got more problems and holdups about getting the stuff in to finish. That's all I got, unless somebody's got questions for me.
Second.
Motion is second. Commissioner Denton.
Yes, I just wanted to commend you, Mr. Smith, on your minutes. You have the most thorough and detailed set of minutes. I don't know who takes them or how you did it done, but every minute of the minutes is recorded. And I want to commend you for that. And also, I enjoy reading them. They're kind of spicy sometimes, so I like y'all's meetings. So.
I can tell you this, I've been there a little over 5 years, and when Donna Bain's the one that takes the minutes, she's my secretary, and when she gets accused of not putting it all in there, so we ordered her a recorder. All the ones that's on Ag Management can tell you, we tell you, you got to sit right in front of that thing, and it usually takes her about 2 days to get them wrote up because she's still doing contracts and everything else. So y'all will be getting your minutes here from the last meeting last Thursday night, and it wasn't near as long a meeting because we tried to cut it off to where y'all folks could make your other meetings. So, any other questions?
I got one more, but before we go, Commissioner Denton, thank you for that, because now the attendance reading for the Ag Center minutes will go up because you said they were spicy. Commissioner Smith.
Hey, Mr. Quinton, really quick, how many cars you said that come through, or?
The ones that come through was 40,076. That's what we got, $1 car off of each one of those.
And what do they charge for entry fee? 30 per car?
They do. If you buy it from like Fiddler's Grove, they're charging 20 for theirs.
Okay.
Depends on whether you buy them ahead of time or what.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for Commissioner Smith? Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye. Aye. He is commissioner on the side, aren't you, Commissioner Smith? Expo report, Mr. Zendel Murphy called and said he could not be here, so he'll be here next month. Ms. Gale. And report from the Public Works Committee, Commissioner Weathers.
Mr. Chairman, the Public Works Committee met Tuesday, January 17th at 6 o'clock in the committee room here at the courthouse. The minutes will be in the next month's packet. Move the report be received and filed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ag Center Management, Commissioner Scruggs.
Ag Management met December the 15th. It's in your packet, be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Animal Control, Commissioner Breeze.
Animal Control met on Thursday, January 12th at 5 p.m. in the upstairs conference room. Minutes are in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Audit, Commissioner Glover.
No report.
We did have an exit audit this week, and so you'll be getting a report on that soon. Broadband Access, Commissioner Franklin.
No report.
Development Tourism, Commissioner Brown.
No report.
Ethics, Commissioner Dow.
No report.
Finance, Commissioner Costley.
No report.
Health and Recreation, Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, we met in the upstairs room. I make a motion that it would be approved and filed.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Insurance, Commissioner McFarland.
No report.
Judicial, Commissioner Gentry.
Yeah, Judicial Committee met on 19th of December and the 17th of this month, and we'll meet again tomorrow, as a matter of fact. The minutes for the 19th are in your package. Make a motion they be received and filed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Planning and Zoning, Commissioner McFarland.
No report.
Rules, Commissioner Hobbs. Urban Type Facility Board, Commissioner Scruggs.
Urban Type Facility Board met January the 13th. Minutes are in your packet, be received and filed.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Finance Director report, Mr. Maynard is going to be out tonight, so he will pick us up next month. Report from Budget Committee, Commissioner Marlowe.
Budget Committee met January 12th in the conference room. Minutes are in your packet. Move they be received and filed.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Commissioner Marlowe.
There's a lot of them.
Resolution 23-1-1, classifying the public roads in Wilson County.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Resolution 23-1-2, to amend the budget and appropriation resolution by approving Wilson County Board of Education budget amendment
Amendment 2023-06.
I got a motion and a second now. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-3 to amend the budget appropriation resolution to make an appropriation from general fund to WEMA.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-4 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in WEMA.
Motion approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-5 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in the Sheriff's Department.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Fields? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
23-1-6 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in the Sheriff's Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Bernard? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-7 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in the Sheriff's Department.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second now. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-8 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in the Sheriff's Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-9 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in the Sheriff's Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Mr. Dow? Thank you. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-10 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution to make an appropriation from general fund to county coroner medical examiner.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-11 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution to make line item transfers and appropriation from general fund to animal control.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Discussion now. Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 23-1-12 to amend the budget appropriation resolution to make an appropriation from Ag Center Fund 124 to other agricultural and natural resources.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Dow, Commissioner Glover? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Excuse me? Smith? Sorry, my bad. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes. Any old business to come before this body tonight? Commissioner Glover?
As far as new business, do we have the one for the sound equipment for the new building? Is that gonna be on next month?
Say it again.
No further.
No old business, any new business? Need one more motion?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.